Oops. Okay. Sit down to put this carburetor together. I got my new float bowl. And open it. Oops. Float bowl. And we do not need the little spring that comes with the float bowl. Okay. Let's clear out the little plastic strings. Okay. This carburetor has a little dump button. So I have removed it because this kit comes with a new gasket for that. So I'm going to just put all of the parts right here. Okay. And this comes with a new small needle as well. That's good. We'll replace it all, put the whole kit in. I need to go get my Tecumseh seat tool. This tool right here for putting in your seat. It's Tecumseh number 670377. Here's the seat, and the side with the ring goes down. The ringed side goes down. So we'll go ahead and install our seat. Okay, I just put the seat in. I don't know, you can see that in there. And this is motor oil, fresh clean motor oil, just remnants. I just kind of dipped this in that motor oil and touched around that seat a little bit to give it a little bit of lubrication and popped it in. So there you go. The seat is in. Now we will continue. And I want to put the little gasket on this guy right here, this little dump valve. This gasket right here in the kit, it's kind of a big donut. And once again, I'm going to use the oil. I'm just going to dip it in there and put it on this thing so that it'll help it pop in there like that, see? And then that just goes down there. That goes like that. And then your spring and cap go on the outside here. There. And it's on. Okay. Okay, and it looks good. The level looks good. It's kind of just barely sloped down, just barely. Well, that's going to be good. Oh, you know what? I forgot something. Before we tighten that down, and I got to remove the needle and seat again. Because I forgot to put this plug in. This big guy. Yeah, so these Welch plugs, I just use my arbor press and a flat punch and kind of just punch it, and it spreads it and seals it. See, it's in there now. So I got to do the same thing with this one. I got to find a way to position it on here to where it's not going to damage anything. Like that would be good right there. And then just, this isn't going to work. This punch ain't going to work for this one. I'll have to find something else to punch that down. Okay, so I took a old punch and I ground a flat on it, and I cut it. It was about this long. I cut it, ground it flat, so I made a short punch. So now we'll be able to punch this. Now we'll just be able to punch this. Hold on to it and just, that's it. It just puts a little punch in it, that's all. Okay, now with the plugs all taken care of, I can put the needle and the seat back in again. And now we can put our bowl on. Okay, now I do want to turn this in until it stops, and I want to go 1.5 turns out. So there's a half, 1.5 turns out. That's where we're going to start with that one. Now we'll put this guy in here. Here is the brass washer, and then we got to put on the O-ring, and then this guy goes into here. Thread it in until it stops, and then we're going to go 1 turn out. Okay. There, stopped. There's a half and 1. So that's that. So that is the carburetor done. Alright, well, I was not exactly excited about how I had my wiring routed. So I went ahead and routed it underneath this. This is how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to go in underneath this little tab on the condenser. So I did that. I actually retimed the engine again. And I put a kill wire in. This is a kill wire. This tab, there's a little tab on there that was on the original points. So I used that tab and I crimped this black kill wire, which is coming out right here. it's routed through here, it goes underneath with all this other stuff, and then it comes out to here, and it'll connect under the carb assembly. Right here is where it connects. These tabs right here. That's where I'll connect the kill wire. This thing is all good to go now. I just gotta wait for, wait for that cover, and then we'll be putting it back together. So that is that. I got my valve cover and these surfaces cleaned. I cleaned all these surfaces, mounting surfaces, and I've painted the valve cover and the bolts, and one of them fell out right here for the recoil. And then this guy right here is just part of the mounting. Part of the mounting. So I'm going to go ahead and put the recoil back on because I got all that painted. It's right here. And this right here. I stuck these little trim pieces on and painted it because they were not quite painted, and I wanted it to all look pretty. So that's that. So I'll go ahead and put the recoil back on, and I peeled some of these masks where I had stuff masked. Yeah. It's going to look nice. And there is the recoil attached, and a little bit of a paint run there. It ain't perfect, but hey, at least it's protected, right? That's what matters. There you go. Very good. Works great. That's what it's all about. Protecting with paint. So this thing will last another 50 years. All right. Well, I'm afraid that's all I can really do until I receive this stuff. Cover this up, pop the flywheel back on it, and put it all back together. Waiting game. I had the weirdest thing happen, and I still do not understand what was going on. If you can see, you notice anything different here. If you notice, I changed the point lever there, the point arm part of the points from here to the arm, and the top point connector. This is the new one. The bottom part of the points is the new OEM. What I did was I put the flywheel on because I just wanted to see it spark. So I put when I had the new points that I originally put in, put the flywheel on there, spun it, not getting any fire at all. And I'm like thinking, okay, this thing should fire. But I was getting nothing. So I took the flywheel back off. I checked my point gap. It was good. No problem. So I unhooked the condenser, got it out of the way. And then I hooked my meter, my continuity meter, from the engine ground to this point of the ignition right here. And with the points broken, I was still getting continuity. And I have no idea to this time how that was happening. I actually removed this part of the new points and I inspected it, looked at it. It's like, how is this, when the points are broken, how is there continuity from engine ground to here? It did not make sense at all. Here's that new points, and I looked over this thing. I looked all about it and how in the world. I don't get it. I still don't get it. I don't understand how. But it was, even when the points were broken, there was continuity from engine ground to this terminal. Has anyone else experienced that? I could not see, because if you look at this right here, you have points that are broken. This spring clip comes over to here, and this is insulated. You see, this is insulated here, so it's not connected right here. I think that somehow this was connected right here somehow, and I don't quite get how. I couldn't visually see metal to metal at all, but undoubtedly the points were grounded and would never fire. So I cleaned this top point, and it's in pretty good shape. I cleaned it and I put this in there, the original points, not the bottom part, just this top part, the arm and terminal, and no continuity. Continuity was gone. And if I take the flywheel and the key and put on there, you'll see now it sparks. I wire wheeled the magnets, cleaned the magnets up. They were a little rusty. Okay, so now I have the flywheel over. This is my kill wire coming out, and that's going to hook to the tab, the kill tab. So now when I spin it, you'll see there's spark. See that? Let me turn the lights off a little bit. And you know what else I want to do is I want to get the tripod. I want to put the camera on the tripod so that I'm not moving it. Okay, now we're on here. I'll turn off one more light, and then I'll spin the flywheel and you'll see it spark. There you go. That's a good hot spark. We now have spark, so I am just waiting for now I am only waiting for the covers and stuff. The dust cover, the tin cover, and the clip. Alright, well here's the starter. I've got it wired. I've got a new plug on it. Here's the button. The button I know works. I've got it wired up. And this is something that I ran into. I actually tried using the starter before and it didn't work, and I figured maybe it was the switch, maybe it was these prongs, and this starter is just bad. I can plug this thing in and show you. It is plugged in. I hit the switch. Why is the switch stuck? Switch seems to be stuck now. And I removed this and plugged it directly into the wall here. See, it's not turned on right now. The power's not on. Switch works. If I turn the power on, now we've got power going through the switch to this. And it doesn't work. Boy, that's dangerous. Anyway, I got away with it. This thing is no good. Alright, so I have assembled the carburetor with this bracket on it and the flange. There's the thick gasket, and this is the gasket that mates this to this. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and put the carburetor and the exhaust on it. There's no reason not to. So I'll go ahead and get this screwdriver ready, and we'll start threading this stuff in. This one's a little, oops, this one's a little tricky to get to. There we go, that's on there good. Okay. Now we'll, let me put that little linkage, get that ready. This little link right here. If I can remember how this goes. I know this goes like this. I didn't. Maybe I did. I gotta look through my phone. Did I take pictures? I'd be shocked if I didn't. I'd be a little irritated with myself if I didn't. Okay, it took me a little bit of figuring, but I actually had to go back and look at my video. But I got it hooked up. I got the linkage all hooked up. So that's that. Now I'll put the muffler on. And I did remove the paint off of the mating surface. Like so. We're getting there. We're getting put back together. So I'll run this up, and there's the underneath here there is a spay connector, like a you put a terminal on this and you connect it to there. I have to get fuel line, and as soon as we get our points cover and stuff, we'll be really buttoning this thing up. But it's looking good. We're getting there. We are getting there. Starting to look like an engine again. I put the valve cover back on, of course. It's right here. Painted it. I painted it black. Cleaned the surfaces really good. It's got new gaskets in it, and yeah, everything's going to be doing just fine. So we'll put the head back on, just keep it covered up. And I got this thing cleaned up today. I got the outside cleaned up as good as I could. Washed out the inside of the tank. Tested the valve. The valve is good. There's no leaking. It works. It does not leak. It's clean. So our gas tank is good to go. Okay, well, I got the spark killer hooked up. You can see where I got it wired right there. Let me try to get into this really good. Okay, you see that double-edged blade there. When you kill the motor, you'll see this thing comes up and makes contact with this. And that kills the spark when that comes up and contacts that. Alright, well I got my points cover and the clip. One thing that didn't come with it was the dust cover. So I made one out of a Raisin Bran cereal box. I just put this down on the box, traced around it, cut right inside of the lines with a sharp knife. Just, you know, cut right inside of the line so that it would fit inside this, and cut a hole here for the crankshaft. I'll probably open that up just a little bit right through here. But yeah, I just didn't want to wait for this, so I went ahead and made my own. Alright, and there it is. A little bit too big of a diameter on my cereal box dust cover, but that's okay. It still covers the points. It'll be fine. But everything fits good, so that is that. Now I can actually start putting this thing back together. Alright, well, I decided that I wanted a better, a more precise timing. So I bought a dial indicator. And right now I have it set right at 0, which is top dead center. And we can see where my timing was at before. You can see right here, if I move the crank, it is right where it changes at 0. So that is top dead center. So I'll put this in here in the camera, and then I'll get it all set up and focused in on that indicator, and we'll take a look. Okay, we are pretty much right in on it. So 80 thousandths is where the 20 is right here. That's 80 thousandths. So I'm gonna turn the motor backwards, and I've got my meter set up to beep when the points basically will contact. So you want the spot where they're just opening, or in this case they'll be closing. We want to go where it beeps. Okay, now this right here is 80 thousandths. Right there. So this should be beeping right here. But it's right there. It's about 88 thousandths. So I was close. I had it set at about 88 thousandths. So these points need to be beeping still right here. They need to be beeping. So I need to, and we will just try to fine tune this thing a little bit. There it goes. Okay, see now we're at 80 thousandths, so now I'm going to try to tighten it back up right at this point. Yeah, look at that. That's right at 80 thousandths. Okay, I just took some air and blew into these. And what I want to do is just clean these threads with some lacquer thinner and a Q-tip. So I'm just dipping the Q-tip in the lacquer thinner and going in here and just kind of cleaning. There you go. Good enough. Got them clean. Cleaned up decently. Now I'll just wipe the top of it down. Clean sealing surface on both the head and the block. And I just want to loosely kind of put a couple bolts in, right? Okay, grab a couple bolts. All right. And like this. There we go. Yeah. Let's bring it over here a little bit. So you can see this part of the engine. It looks good, don't it? I'd say it looks pretty good. Okay, you can see that these two holes line up. You see that? This one lines up with this one. So that is my guide for putting this in. Just make sure those holes are close lined up, and I should be able to just clamp that through there. Like that. It should be lined up. So I will try to vice grip or channel lock that. See if I can't kind of press this together, press this through here. Yeah, that's pretty much, not quite. I'm going to try to pop it with a hammer and a punch. Yep, that's gone through. Good deal. Oh, I got to put that thing in there to hold it down. But I can make this to where, well, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. Okay, now I just have to put that clamp through there. This holds this stuff into place like that. Okay. I think that's good enough. Okay, now I do need to, oh shoot. I can't torque these down with that in the way. Oh, God. Okay, I got all that removed. And I got my torque wrench set to 18 foot-pounds, which is just over 200 inch-pounds. So, okay, we're ready to torque. Four, 8, There. Torque. Compression is looking good. We're up almost to 70, well, 70 pounds, about 70 pounds with the compression release. So that is good. I need to put oil in this thing. I need to put the plug in it. I just checked spark. Spark is strong. So we're good to go. This thing should fire and should run. Let's let that kind of drain a little bit. Okay, got my fuel line all situated. This is gasoline that I drained out of my mini bike and my power washer. This is ethanol free. Ethanol free gas. I will put that in. That's a little bit of fuel. Be enough to get this thing to fire up. Now we get to test how actual fuel resistant this paint is that it's engine enamel. So I got some on there. And it looks like it wants to come right off. Okay, let's open up this valve. Fully open. I've got the transmission, the clutch is disengaged. And let's see what we get. Full choke. Alright, obviously I have to adjust the governor. It's run a little too fast. Keep killing it. Yeah, this thing's running. I mean, it's losing gas. Oh, it vibrated itself closed. That's weird. A little bit of fine tuning to do yet, and this, I need to put a new bushing in this. This thing's leaking. The gas tank's leaking. But yeah, it sounds pretty good, runs pretty good. I adjusted the governor so it doesn't run quite as wide open. Got a lot of oil burning off of it. Well, yeah, I like it. This is, I have to replace that bushing in this tank. That is just leaking. Yeah. But yeah, that's some just wet, ridiculously wet snow. And this thing just throws it a mile. This thing's crazy. Yeah. It's awesome. But I'm going to go back through. I'm going to re-torque the head bolts. And it seems to run pretty good. I'm not going to... Yeah, look at how bad that's leaking. I got the gas turned off right now. It's leaking right out of that thing. I got to replace that. I'm going to go ahead and remove this tank and drain it. And yeah, so I mean, it runs great. Runs good, works good. I'm happy with it. So there you go. Hahn-Eclipse Snowq Giant back in action. Now I just got to wait for some more snow. This is just slush. But it'll do a job on some slush too. So here's the valve. I got it removed and cleaned up. I don't know if I might just replace the valve altogether. I think you can get a valve and bushing in a kit. But yeah, this bushing kind of came apart. It was kind of petrified and broke off here. So yeah. So we'll get that fixed up and that'll take care of that. Alright, well I got this side cover put back on. And that was no fun task. I had to remove this assembly again. This arm assembly. I had to pull that all off again because this goes underneath this yellow bar. So I did that and then I retorqued the head down. I got this all installed. It's all good to go. Yeah, so I got the I retapped these holes and bought a couple new bolts to mount this top bracket here because the other one's stripped out. So I had to tap that and fix that. Retorqued the head bolts, and I should have the fuel situation today. I should have my new valve and grommet today. This was a trash pick. The neighbor across the street threw this out. This is a Toro CCR 3000. Nice little 5 horsepower 2-stroke snowblower. And I've drained the fuel out of it. I did spray some fuel into the carburetor and pulled it. This thing does start and die. So I will order up a carb rebuild kit for this. And the primer bulb needs to be replaced because it's broke. It's non-existent actually. See, right there's the primer bulb. It's missing. So I'll put a new primer bulb on it. Drain the fuel out. I'm going to put some new gas in it. Probably replace the gas line. Rebuild the carburetor, and this thing will be nice. It runs good. The motor's strong. Nice, good compression. It sounded great when I started it. It just started and died. So that'll be an easy one. And then this guy will be done today with the fuel situation over here. So I get a new valve and grommet. So yeah. And we'll be back in biz. This came today. Just came. This is my bushing and new valve. Ordered it yesterday and it showed up today. So that's pretty good. Okay, so just trying to help it in this hole. And then just kind of give it a spin so you know it's seated well in there, and then the fun part, this has to go in there. And I'm just going to try to spin it. You got shoulder problems too, so that don't help. It don't help to bend that like that either. Alright, well, that was not fun, but I got it in there. And how I did it was basically getting it started and then just doing this, pressing down, and it popped in. And yeah, it was not fun, but we got it. So I'll go ahead and pop this back on the snowblower, hook it up, mount it, put some gas in it, and see if it leaks. Okay, gas tank is back on. Got some gas in there, not a ton. Gas valve is open. I had to cut a little bit of the hose, and I almost cut too much of it. You see, I don't love that I don't have a ton of hose there, but it's good. It's not leaking. More importantly, the valve is open, so gas is going over to the carburetor. So yeah, go ahead and start this thing up. That's going to do it for the repair on this guy. We're good to go. No fuel leaks. Yeah, it's not leaking at all. No drips. Not a single drip. Alright, very good. Well, thanks to everyone for watching this series. Subscribe if you are not subscribed. Look forward to that repair coming out. And that's going to wrap up the Snowq Giant repair. Alright guys, see you on the next one. Bye for now.